Reactions Matter by David W. Searcy, Jr. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share the video. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the content.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Won't you be mine? Won't you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? That's subliminal messaging right there. It's hit the subscribe button. You can do it. I believe in you. And once you've hit the subscribe button, drop a comment, like the video, share it. Let's get into this. Today we're looking at scientists can explain 10 discoveries.
From mysterious skulls and artifacts millions and billions of years
Gotta be
old to real evidence of alien life. This is Infinity, and today I'll show you 10 incredible finds that scientists can't explain. Let's go.
He's got some good content.
The Danish skull. Let's start with the skull. It would seem that this is one of the most primitive finds imaginable, because archaeologists find skulls almost every day. That's true, but skulls are different. There are ordinary skulls, there are elongated skulls, and there are skulls like those found in Denmark.
Whoa,
in this country, on the island of Zealand, yes, there's an island with this name, a very unusual
That was a very interesting
artifact was found a few years ago. During the repair of communications, workers found a well-preserved skull, the belonging of which experts have not been able to determine. At first glance, it looks like a human skull, but it has huge eye sockets, don't you think? People have never found anything like this before. Scientists were only able to determine the dating. It turned out that someone with this skull lived in the 13th century AD. But who was it? UFOologists are sure that the workers managed to find the skull of a real alien. And why not? This version's quite good. It's the aliens who are depicted with very large eyes, and the shape of the skull is similar to the head of a typical alien. This is evidenced by another fact. After many studies, scientists have come to the conclusion that the skull belongs to a species that does not live on our planet.
Where does it live?
Unfortunately, only a skull was found.
But we found it on our planet. What does that
Other
mean?
remains were never found. But in any case, this find is further potential evidence that aliens have visited our planet.
I was for sure this was going to do it. I lowered the resolution.
This is by no means the only artifact like this. There are others, I mean alien-related ones. The next artifact comes to us straight from Nepal. It's called the Lolodov plate. It looks like a disc or a dish. The artifact is made of stone. In general, everything's ordinary again if you do not start looking closely. The plate depicts strange spirals, and there's also a creature here that resembles an alien. The very classic one we know all too well. And everything would be fine if this plate was 50 or 70 years old, but scientists have come to the conclusion that it's 12,000 years old. How could people in those times depict an alien on the stone if its image became known in the culture only in the last century?
What image?
This suggests that the ancient people encountered aliens
Probably on a regular basis.
personally, and that UFO and alien encounters in the 20th century are pure truth. Perhaps the aliens helped the ancient people in some way, and thus they thanked them by immortalizing them in stone. Sounds crazy, but similar artifacts have been found in other places, for example, in ancient Egypt. There's another version, according to which it's not an alien, but one of the locals of those times. It's believed that they could consider themselves descendants of extraterrestrial beings. But if so, it raises even more questions.
But their eyes aren't very big.
More and more often, it's starting to seem that history, as we know it, is fundamentally wrong, and that things were actually quite different. And I'm not just talking about alien contact or anything like that. The next artifact, for example, may prove that civilizations existed long before they did, according to world history. In 1991, a group of researchers were digging in Narada River in the Russian Ural Mountains trying to find gold. They didn't find gold, but they did find something more interesting: tungsten springs and other metal elements of unclear origin and purpose. Why are they more interesting, you may ask? And indeed, at first glance, they look like some useless trash, but only at first glance. Gold prospectors didn't throw away the artifacts and brought them to other researchers. They found out that the springs were over 200,000 years old. It's already impressive, but that's not all. It turns out that this is not something that could have been created by Mother Nature. Scientists are sure that these artifacts were made by humans. Miniature springs and other elements are made of tungsten and molybdenum, according to scientists. Even in modern technological conditions, humans cannot create something like this, let alone people who lived 200,000 years ago. After all,
I mean, it kind of reminds me of the Transformers, right? Yeah, maybe that's what it was. Transformer Wars. So that's pieces from the original.
Then Homo sapiens, in fact, only began to develop as a species. People had the most primitive life. Who then made the springs? There are two versions. According to the first, it was done by some extinct or disappeared advanced civilization, about which scientists either do not know or do not tell us, so as to not change the course of history. According to the second version, there was no civilization, and these springs and other elements appeared as a result of the explosion. This is evidenced by pronounced irregularities in the parts, which, in addition, melted. UFOologists believe that these springs were once part of a spaceship of an alien civilization,
Transformer,
which unsuccessfully entered our atmosphere and exploded over the Ural Mountains.
Why does he keep trying to find
You don't have to look for weirdness in space, because even without aliens, we have enough of our own mysteries. For example, mythical and mystical creatures. One of them is dwarfs. Different peoples told about dwarfs.
Now you're not allowed to call them dwarves. Maybe it's not the proper word. Little people. So we've had dwarves for dwarves.
They could be called differently, have different features, but the essence was always the same. They're small creatures living underground and famous for their skill. Perhaps all these stories are not so mythical, because in 1932 a very unusual discovery was made. During gold mining in the San Pedro Mountains in the United States, workers blew up a rock with a gold vein, and when the dust settled, they saw a mummy of a tiny man.
What is that? What is that? Is that a real man?
Mummy was in a sitting position and was 7 inches tall. Scientists estimate that in a standing position, it would reach about 15.7 inches. The weight of the mummy was light, less than 12 ounces. The skull of the San Pedro Mountains mummy, as it was called, was skewed. The eyes were bulging, and the head was covered with a strange substance. When it became known about the find, many skeptics immediately thought that it was a pure fake. They say that a doll was hidden in the rock specifically to prank scientists, but the skeptics were wrong. The researchers studied the mummy using X-rays and found that it was more than real. The skeleton was visible in the mummy, and some bones were broken. Well, the mummy even has nails preserved. Everything
That's incredible.
said that it was not fake at all. But what then? Some thought it was a child's mummy, but wasn't it too small
I mean, 15 and a half.
Oh, even for a newborn baby? Another version said that the workers
18.
discovered a rare dwarf, and the third version said that it was one of these so-called little people, legends about which are common in the United States. But there are other versions saying that it's a mummy of a real dwarf or even an alien. Either way, no one's been able to get to the truth and is unlikely to be able to. In the 20th century, the mummy disappeared, and since then, nothing's known about it. Maybe someone's trying to hide the truth from us.
It's probably in the Vatican. That's where they keep all
Still,
that stuff.
even this mummy includes an
Stop making YouTubers rich in 2024. By watching videos on YouTube just like this one, you're making other YouTubers.
That's what we're here to do, my dude. Helping other people make money. We're a big family.
alien
Let's just
version.
be a big
It
family.
seems that no mysterious find can do without an alien version. And the next one too. Here it is, blue stones or sky stones. They look very beautiful, don't they? You rarely see them, but it seems as if they're nothing out of the ordinary. However, theorists disagree with this. These stones were bought by geologist Angelo Pittoni in 1990. He got the artifacts from the leader of a tribe in Sierra Leone in West Africa. Why did he buy them? Because the tribe members themselves told Angelo that these stones were given to them by alien visitors from heaven. With all due respect to the tribes, taking their word for it is a bad idea. They have their own beliefs, their own traditions, and they have nothing to do with the modern world. But apparently, the tribesmen were right. When Angelo Pittoni returned to Europe, the first thing he did was to take the sky stone
So you got stones from these people. And somebody's like, oh, they're not real.
heaven. With all due respect to the tribes, taking their word for it is a bad idea. They have their own beliefs, their own traditions, and they have nothing to do with the modern world. But apparently, the tribesmen were right. When Angelo Pittoni returned to Europe, the first thing he did was to take the sky stones to the university for testing. The results showed that the stones did not match any known mineral in the world. The analysis showed that 77% of the stones consisted of pure oxygen, and the remaining composition was carbon, calcium, and an unknown organic compound. Moreover, the age of the stones was estimated at 55,000 years.
Like, if it came from space, is it 55,000 space years? Or is it 55,000 Earth years? Ooh. Things that make you go home.
Other independent scientists also conducted testing but could not answer what exactly this mineral was. Everything points to the fact that the stones are really a gift from heaven. Perhaps these are just small fragments of some meteorite, or maybe they were given to the Aborigines by aliens. As practice shows, aliens are drawn to Africa. Remember ancient Egypt? In general, the alien version is quite appropriate. The Lanzhou stone. There's another stone that raises a lot of questions.
Lanzhou stone. So you think that blue stone was given to them by aliens? You think it fell from the sky? I mean, I don't think you could paint a stone like that.
It's the Lanzhou stone. It was found in 2022 in China, in the province of Gansu. It's far from being as beautiful as the sky stones. It's not a particularly remarkable mineral of black color, but only if you ignore a couple of details. First, the mineral itself is extremely solid. And second, it contains a metal rod with a thread. Again, it doesn't mean anything, but there's a third point. Scientists estimated the age of the find at 300 million years old. So those 200,000-year-old springs are nothing at all. Why do I think that? Because the researchers came to the conclusion that the rod with carving could not be a natural object. Everything points to the fact that it was made artificially, and this requires a high level of technical training. But there were no humans 300 million years ago. There weren't even dinosaurs then. That's what world history as we know it tells us. Theorists are sure that we've been lied to, and that the Lanzhou stone is an artifact left over from some prehistoric and advanced civilization. They believe that the story of the origin of life on the planet may be very different from what we know. Ancient advanced civilizations, if they really existed, had a hand not only in some small stones or springs, but also in grandiose constructions. This is exactly what theorists believe. In their opinion, one such construction is the megalith called Ishi no Hoden. It's located in Japan. The huge structure weighs about 500 to 600 tons.
Why is there a rope around?
According to calculations, to create such a creation of art, it's necessary to remove the rock volume.
Why is there rope around it? It's an interesting looking structure though.
According to calculations, to create such a creation of art, it's necessary to remove the rock volume of 14,125 cubic feet and a mass of about 1,000 tons. In short, a phenomenal and colossal work must have been done, which is hard to imagine. This fact alone is mind-boggling, but that's not all. According to the official version, the megalith is a stone tomb. But why go to such great lengths to build a tomb? And even if so, how could ancient people create this megalith without proper tools? According to one theory, they had tools, but nobody tells us about them, so as not to change history.
Oh, well, we can't.
Theorists believe that ancient people had mechanical drill, which
now look at that tool. What the heck would you do with that? Like, there's a lot going on right there. Oops.
crumbled the rock and processed it. But even in this theory, there's a weak point, because on the lower edge of the megalith, there are no traces of processing. In addition, on the rock around the megalith, there are no traces of either machine or hand tools.
Are you wondering about dental implants? Do you know how easy they are to afford?
Scientists do not understand who could create this huge and monumental monument of antiquity. Maybe you have some versions. Share them in the comments.